good afternoon, folks. Welcome back to Myrtle Beach Living Live. I'm Todd Cartner, your host, and this is episode number 22. And I am glad to have you with us here. We are talking anything about entertainment in the Myrtle Beach area. We're also talking about local businesses, dining locations, as well as my favorite, real estate. And speaking of real estate, today we have with us Autumn Duncan, who is a loan officer with PRMG Mortgage right here in Myrtle Beach. And we're going to discuss the current market and talk about a little bit about what the COVID time has taken. And we're going to get that. Well, so let's bring Autumn in, and we will talk to her. Where are you, Autumn? Let's see. Come on. Well,
hi, Todd.
There you are.
There I am.
Sorry. There you go. Hi, Autumn. Thanks for joining us today.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm very happy to be here. Very excited to talk to you today.
Yeah, you're with PRMG Mortgage. And you'll have to remind me what all that stands for, because that's a mouthful.
I was just going to say it's a mouthful. Yes, PRMG is Paramount Residential Mortgage Group, and we are a nationwide lender. We do lending in 48 states, excluding New York and Wyoming. But yes, I am licensed here in South Carolina, but I can do a loan anywhere except New York and Wyoming.
Well, that's good. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? Family, that kind of stuff.
Sure. So I'm originally from Houston, Texas. I grew up in a little town 40 miles northeast of Pittsburgh called Shalakta. So I went to IUP, Indiana University of Pennsylvania. Let's see, I have a bachelor's degree in journalism. I have a master's degree in adult education. I had no idea after college what I wanted to do with all of that. So I ended up in the banking industry, working in their learning and development department as a trainer and an instructional designer. So I did that for a number of years, and then I had kids and decided to become a stay-at-home mom, which I absolutely loved. I loved just being home with my kids. But, you know, they're older now, so that's how I got into the mortgage industry. I needed kind of a second career. So I have a very loving and supportive partner named Jerry. And together we have 4 kids. Madison is 14, Paige is 14, Dylan is 12, and Ella is 9. And we live in Carolina Forest. I've been in Myrtle Beach for 5 years. And yeah, like I said, this mortgage, being a mortgage loan officer is kind of a second career for me after being a stay-at-home mom for a number of years. And it's going really well. I love it.
Well, that's awesome. Well, before we get going today, in our little conversation, we have a question for our guest. Our question is, what do you think the market will be like in the first quarter of 2021? So if you guys have any comments about that, please post them in the comment section below, whatever channel that you're watching, and we'll be glad to get to those. And then also, if you have any questions, you can call us at 843-246-7474, and we'll see if we can get you on the air live as well. So let's talk about this COVID-19 part. I know it's all over the world. It's going up and down. It's like a roller coaster. But where do you think that we stand with the current interest rates and the way the market's going?
So as I think everybody is aware, the current interest rates are and were, and I think will continue to be at historic lows, although they have been slowly on the rise. So when the country shut down in March, the housing industry, which had been pretty strong, came to a complete screeching halt. No one could buy, no one could sell. And with the economy shut down, in response to all this, the Fed cut the interest rates in order to spur economic growth. So our economy's health largely depends on the health of our housing market. So once big businesses figured out how to work virtually, home sales started to rise as people recognized the benefit of buying a home at such low rates. So we saw an influx of people wanting to purchase second homes, larger homes, investment homes. Renters were also starting to see the benefit and the cost savings of buying versus renting. And the rate cut was so successful that we are now looking at a housing shortage. And as the economy comes back to life, we're also looking at slightly higher interest rates than we saw in the spring and summer. And I do think that trend is going to continue, but just keeping in mind where we started at super, super low rates in the spring, even though we are continuing to rise, rates are still incredibly low.
Yeah. And I want to talk about the market here in just a moment, but going back to the mortgage side of it, where are you, what things have changed? Have they loosened the reins a little bit? Have they tightened them? What's kind of changed since the virus started?
So we've become a little bit more cautious since COVID. People are going on forbearance and, in anticipation of that coming to an end and, possibly people going into foreclosure and, the unemployment rate and all that, lending institutions have tightened their lending policies quite a bit in some cases. So because I am a direct lender with PRMG, our restrictions are looser than some other financial institutions like banks and credit unions. So can we talk about credit scores for a minute?
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, all right. So I love talking about credit scores. I can't stress enough how important it is to have good credit. So people don't really understand what good credit means. So I kind of want to talk about that. Good credit is a score anywhere from 661 to 780. So an excellent credit score is anything over 780. And this is where you're going to find the best interest rates at the lowest cost. And scores from 601 to 660 are fair. And then anything under 601 really aren't ideal. So going back to what I said, PRMG, we will work with people with a 580 credit score. A lot of banks and credit unions, for instance, they have raised their rates or their credit scores to around 620 to 640, and in some cases a little bit higher. So it just depends on where you're going, on what rate you're going to get on what score. But we do go down to a 580 credit score at PRMG. And if you are struggling to get your rate up or your score up, we do have programs that can help put you on the right path to get credit healthy. So you're in a better position in a few months to get a house.
And I want to make a point there that I think everyone should know. If your credit is in the low 600s and you're in that fair credit score rating part, you can get a mortgage and have a little bit higher interest rate, pay that for a couple of years, and then refinance at a much better interest rate. Just make sure that you pay all your payments on time or before they're due so that you can get that interest rate. But sometimes it's worth going ahead and getting the home because the prices they keep going up. So if you can get it at a better price and get a good value, pay a little bit more on interest and wait just a little bit and then refinance. I think that's an important thing that I like to always share with my clients, especially the renting market, because rents have been so high. It's crazy. I heard of a 2-bedroom the other day for $1,200, and it's a great location and everything's good about it. But if you can afford a $1,200 rent, you can definitely afford a mortgage on a $200,000.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So with all that being said, where do you think the market's going? We've asked the question to our viewers, and where do you think the market's going and heading the last quarter here? We got 2 months left in the year, and then we've got the first quarter of next year. Where do you think it's going?
Well, with today being election day, and we still don't know who our president's going to be, I think it's uncertain. I do think it is strong, and it's getting stronger. We started the beginning of the year with a very strong economy and a very strong housing market. So I do think that trend is going to continue. Market is up today. Stocks and bonds are up. Mortgage applications have increased 4% from last week. Refinancing are up 88% from last year. Purchases are up 26% from last year. So, like I said, with the election, it's kind of hard to say, but I'm positively optimistic.
There you go. Well, speaking of that, I actually have some numbers I want to share with the viewers as well. And this is speaking about just our market, which is the Coastal Carolinas Association of Realtors, which covers all of Horry County and Georgetown County. Single family homes, and this is year to date over last year, single family home sales are up 22%, and condos and townhomes are up 31.3%, which is overall 25.4%, which is right in line with the 26% that you mentioned. But this is the key. So I'm going to preface it with this. If you're thinking about selling your call me. Story on single family homes is down from last year 40.4%, which makes it a seller's market. So if you're buying, it may not be the best time to buy, but with the interest rates, you're going to offset that a good bit. But it's a great time to sell and list your home. Now that's single family homes, 40.4%. Condos are down 16%. Mm-hmm. So there's no inventory out there. I posted a picture on Facebook yesterday that said, hey, if you're looking to sell, call me because I'm out of inventory. And it's true. We don't have the listings that we need to have. So that makes it, it puts it into the potential for a bidding war with the buyers. I had an investor that was looking at a property in North Myrtle Beach. I think it was last Thursday. The property came on the market. I had that up to where it automatically notifies the buyer. He called me immediately and said, I love this property. Can you go and look at it? Because he lives out of town. So I go and I scheduled the time to go look at it. And within 10 minutes of me scheduling the appointment to go and view the house, the listing agent called me and said, sorry, we're under contract. Yeah. I mean, from the time it went on the market to the time it was under contract was less than 30 minutes.
I've heard so many stories like that. And we're actually telling clients, if you can look at a property online and place a bid, you might be better off than waiting, make an appointment, going to look at it because it's not going to be there. And we're also recommending to people that they bid over the asking price if they find a house that they really, really want, because there are so many people going after the same property.
Yeah. And I've had that too. I had a house that I sold last month, and the listing agent was nice enough to tell me they had 5 other bids on the house. So we went $600 above listing, the list price, and we got it. So so that was nice, So
yes, but anyway, you gotta do it.
Since we're talking about the COVID part and the way the market is going. Are you seeing, I know it's corrected itself just a little bit. Are you seeing that we can close in 30 days, 35 days now? Because I'm for time that it was pushed on the 40 market.
Yeah, absolutely. When all of this happened and the rates dropped so low and we saw this influx of people buying and refinancing, we were hit so hard with applications we could not keep up. At one point, we had underwriters with 500 applications on their desk. It was incredible. So yeah, we were looking at upwards of 60 days turn time. And there's a lot of people involved in, the mortgage business. So you got the realtor, you got the originator, you have the processor, you have the underwriter, and sometimes more than one of each are working on a file. So since all of this has happened, PRMG has hired hundreds more originators, processors, and underwriters to help with this influx of business. So we are looking at turn times now, in most cases, at 30 days.
Yeah, and that's great. This is why it's so important to work with an experienced lender, an experienced real estate agent, and listen to what they say. One of the things that you and I talked about, we had lunch last week. Was it last week?
A couple weeks ago. Yeah.
I don't remember. Time goes crazy. But one of the things I said was, let's put together a list of exactly what you need from the buyer, so that when I have that first contact with them and we put the offer in, I can say, these are the things that you're going to need to have for the lender. So the faster we get this done, the faster we can close. And it's a better chance of you getting that loan.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. The more documentation you have up front, the less I'm waiting for it, the quicker you can move. And like you said before, in this market where the houses are going so fast, the more prepared you are, the better. So a lot of times, it takes a long time to get a loan done, and it looks like it's, on us, but really we're waiting for the client to get us the paperwork that we need. So I'm glad that you asked me for that information, because it's just standard. We look at, do you have the deposit saved? So I think we ask for 30 or 60 days of bank deposits. W-2s, if you're self-employed, we look for tax returns, your driver's license. We got to verify your identity, your social security card. So just basic things like that, pay stubs for 30 days. So if you can have all of that and give it to me right away, I can get you pre-approval immediately.
That sounds good. Well, we're going to talk about that a little bit too after the break. So guys, once again, if you have any questions for me or Autumn, please make sure you type those in the comments, and we'll be glad to answer those right here live on your favorite social network, or you can call us in at 843-246-7474 and stick with us. We'll be right back after the break. Every client is unique and has different needs. Whether it's a growing family, a first-time buyer, an investor, or someone looking to downsize, I am here to help guide them through the process. My name is Todd Cartner. I am a realtor with Exit Coastal Real Estate Pros. I serve Myrtle Beach and the surrounding area, and there is no place I would rather have my family call home. You need a realtor you can trust and will put your needs first. I want to become your lifetime realtor. If you are looking to buy or sell real estate, please give me a call. I look forward to speaking with you soon. Welcome back, folks, to Myrtle Beach Living Live. I'm Todd Cartner, your host. Today we have with us Autumn Duncan, who is with PRMG Mortgage, and we're talking about the mortgage industry and how things are going and how they're heading. And, we mentioned before the break about the pre-qualification or the pre-approval letter. I know that you can't stress it enough. I will not be able to stress it enough. That is something you have to have in hand before you start looking at opportunities these days, because don't get that offer. You're not going to be accepted because there's so many that are being put in now, and I know that's important. So I know that the government is trying to help everyone the best that they can. Where do we stand now on government loans, first-time home buyer loans, the Freddie Mac, the Fannie Mae, all that kind of stuff? Talk to us about that, Autumn.
Sure. Yeah, of course, the government's always trying to help home buyers. Like I said before, the housing market is very important to our economy. And we have a lot of different products, and different lenders have different products. But some of the more common ones, and ones that PRMG offers, we have two products called Home Ready and Home Possible. And those are for low to moderate income borrowers. They have different stipulations, but both offer a very low down payment. The Home Ready program, you can have a parent as a co-borrower on the loan, but they don't have to live in the home with you. That's something unique to that product. They can go up to a 50% DTI, which is higher than a standard FHA product. You can also, with that, rent out a room in your house and collect income and use that as income. So there's very unique things that we can do. Let's see, I mentioned the Home Ready, the Home Possible, same thing. It's for low to moderate income borrowers, and that's for first-time home borrowers. At least one applicant has to be a first-time home borrower, and that offers a very low down payment. We offer products for those without credit. A lot of people don't know that. So if you're right out of college and you don't have a traditional line of credit, you don't have a credit card, a car payment, a mortgage, we can actually use student loan payments, rental history, utility bills, cell phone bills. Everybody has a cell phone. So we can use those non-traditional lines to build up your credit. So just because you're young and you don't have that credit history does not mean you can't get a mortgage.
Wow.
And then
I'm sorry, I got Mary Ann on here, and she says that sounds like a great program, and it does. We're going to be talking about that one a little bit more after the show, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Sorry,
it broke up a little bit. But yeah, every state is different, and some of these programs do depend on the economy and the state's budget. So at PRMG, we do offer USDA loans, and that's for rural areas, and we do 100% financing with that. You do need a 620 credit score for a USDA loan, but that's very helpful to people, and there is an income limitation on that. But yeah, different states have different programs, and we offer a lot at PRMG.
Let me know, USDA, do both borrowers have to have a 620 if there's two borrowers on it for the USDA loan?
So how the credit scores work, when you're borrowing with somebody else, we look at the 3 credit scores from the 3 major bureaus, and we go with the middle score of the lowest borrower. So if your wife has an 800 credit score, but yours is 580, we're going to look at the 580.
Gotcha. You'd be better off not putting the 580 on there, just go with the 800.
Yes. Yeah. In some cases, if you can handle the mortgage on your income, if you have the credit score, then we recommend just taking the one person off. And once they get their credit score up, you can always, like you said earlier, refinance, and then you can add them.
Right. So let's talk about another program that has been popular, especially in South Carolina, and that is the programs for the fire police, EMS, nurses, and a lot of times those were referred to as the essential workers. And for a period, I don't know if it's still going on, they actually even added grocery store workers in that because they were considered essential workers. Tell us a little bit about the programs.
Sure. I'm not sure about the grocery workers. They are essential. I haven't heard that one, but yeah, we have a program called Good Neighbor Next Door, and that allows teachers and first responders to purchase a home at 50% off the list price of eligible homes. And that's a fantastic deal. So the home must be in an approved area, and you have to agree to live in the house for at least 36 months. But it's a fantastic opportunity for first responders and teachers to take advantage of. And there's a website you can go to see where those houses are. And like I said earlier, every state is different. And depending on where you are in the country, you could apply for a grant. Some places have down payment assistance grants. There's Everyday Heroes Housing Assistance Fund, which offers housing grants to police officers, firefighters, teachers, doctors, nurses, and social workers.
Yeah, and that's an awesome program. I've helped some people with it, and it does make a big difference for them. So I heard in the beginning of the year when the government was trying to help people as well that it was a great time to refinance. Is it still a good time to refinance? I know the interest rates are starting to climb back up a little bit, but they're still much lower than they were, like you said before. So is it a good time to refinance?
Yes. I get asked that all the time, and my answer is yes. Interest rates are only going to go up. I get asked all the time, well, maybe I should wait. Maybe they're going to come down. They're not. We've never seen rates this low. So do it now. And hey, if I'm wrong and they do come down again, refinance again. But yeah, don't wait. If you're thinking about it, do it now. Yeah.
And that's awesome. And, you mentioned something earlier in the show about the forbearance period. And for those of you who don't know what that is, it's basically that your lender has given you a grace period. I've seen it most often 3 months, but I have seen a couple that were 6 months. But basically what that means is you won't have to pay your payment for that period of time, but it is all due when that forbearance period is over. So it doesn't mean that you have to make the payment at the end of that forbearance period. I do think that some people may not have planned for that, and that is going to create a potential foreclosure. So look at that, because that may be a time that you could refinance if you qualify. or to keep you out of that foreclosure, which stays on your credit for 10 years. And you don't want that to happen, then you may have to look at possibly a short sale, which I can help you with. So if you have those questions, please reach out to me or to Autumn, and let's see if we can prevent that foreclosure from happening.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I missed part of the end of what you said, but yeah, and I want to mention every lender is different. So in a lot of cases, when your forbearance is done, we are going to look for that balloon payment of what you've missed. However, there are some lenders who are willing to kind of put the forbearance part on the back end of the loan. Kind of like what they do with a car payment. If you weren't paying your car payments, you were skipping those, they just added it on to the loan. So some lenders will do that. So work very closely with them to see what your options are. But yeah, people are going to get into a little bit of trouble if they don't have that money. And I'm afraid not everyone understands that. And one thing about forbearance, if you are in forbearance and you want to refinance, we just require that you're caught up with your forbearance. So let's say you're still in forbearance, but you have the money in your savings account to pay it. We're going to ask you to take care of the forbearance and show some good credit history. And then you will be able to refinance through PRMG.
And that's a great program to do. And, I wish that they would, when the government did this in the beginning, they would have just taken those 3 to 6 month payments and moved them to the end, because that would have made it so much easier. It would have kept the economy going a little bit better, I think. And this, it is what it is, but we're going to see what's going to happen here shortly, because things are coming to an end with all of that, the programs that the government put in place. I know this is a bit off topic, but it's worth mentioning. In your words, why is it so important that a buyer contact the lender before they go looking for a house? And I know we talked about that pre-qualification, the pre-approval first, but why do you think that is so important? What are the things that you look for when someone contacts you for that?
It's a great question. So contacting a lender first is important, because unless you're paying with cash, you need me. You need the financing part. So there's no use house hunting, getting your hopes up, falling in love with a house, and then finding out you don't qualify for a loan. And I can get you pre-approved with the mortgage first to know exactly what your purchasing power is. That's powerful to know how much you can afford. And realtors appreciate working with a buyer who has a pre-approval, because nobody wants to have their time wasted. Plus, like you mentioned earlier, bidding on a house with a pre-approval shows that seller that, they're pre-approved. This is going to go through most likely, and they're more likely to accept that offer than one that comes without the pre-approval. So we look for the credit history. We look for debt to income. We look for 2 years of employment history. So yeah, I can get you pre-approved for free. And if you don't qualify for a loan right now, I can put you on the right path to get you there.
And that's exactly right. That's why you want to speak to a lender. And, I send people to lenders all the time. If your credit score is too low, let's work over the next 2 or 3 months. It's amazing if you stay on track at what you can do with your credit in a 3-month period. And, I've even told people that, hey, go get a second job and take all of that money and put it toward paying off your credit cards or your automobile or whatever you need to do. Put that focus in there and get it done. Anybody can work a second job for 3 months. Is it what you want to do? No. But you do it and you're able to pay those bills down, then you're going to be able to get a house and save you money over renting every day. So I it's awesome that we can do that.
Absolutely. And just one last thing, if we have just a second, I want to mention, just keep your credit lines open, keep a small balance on them. Don't pay them off and close them, because that could hurt your credit score.
Right. You want to have a small balance on there, but you do need to, when you charge a tank of gas, you want to wait till that credit or that statement comes out before you pay it. If you pay it off before the bill comes due, then it's going to report as zero. So it's like you didn't do anything anyway. So keep it until the bill comes out, then pay it off. So
yes, absolutely. Yeah, just little things like that will help.
That's it. Well, Autumn, thank you so much for joining us today. It's a lot of great information. And guys, next week is going to be episode number 23. And I'm excited to have with us Kelsey Bentz, who is she is a show host just like myself, and she is with Avenue A. She is in New York City, and she has guests on all the time that are from Broadway or movies. They're actors or whatnot. And, you know, this area is full of talented high school students that perform in the musicals that they do at the school each year in the spring. And I think it's a great thing that we're going to have Kelsey on so that we can talk about that and give some insight to those students and parents who may be interested in sending their children to the School of the Arts in New York. So join us next week at 12:30 on Wednesday with Kelsey, and I look forward to that one. And once again, Autumn, thank you for joining us today. Like I said, it was great information. And you know what? I meant to do this. If you are interested in talking to Autumn, here is her phone number, 724-422-7113, and you can reach out to her anytime. If you do have any questions that you didn't ask during the show, just type them in the comments below, and we'll be sure to get to those after the show. So, but again, thank you, Autumn, and we'll talk to you soon, okay?
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
All right.